Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to take a walk through an ancient text, Ephesians chapter 5. But we're not just going to read it, we're going to see it. We're going on a visual journey designed to make its powerful message impossible to forget.
All right, let's kick things off with a big question for you. This entire chapter is built around this idea of life being a journey, a walk with a real destination. So it asks us a pretty simple question. Which path are you on? The answer to that really is the key to everything else we're about to see.
You know, every great journey has to start somewhere, right? With that very first step. And according to this text, the first step on this new path is all about love. And not just any kind of love, but a love that imitates the real thing, right from the source.
All right, let's unpack this. Verse 1 kicks it off, be imitators of God as dear children. I want you to picture this. A little kid, maybe 4 years old, who absolutely adores their dad. They're stomping around the house in his massive shoes, trying to copy everything he does. It's not out of fear, it's this joyful, loving imitation. And that brings us to verse 2, which tells us exactly what this walk is. Walk in love as Christ gave himself for us. This isn't a fuzzy feeling. It's a sacrificial love described as a sweet-smelling aroma. Just imagine that sweet-smelling smoke from incense, or maybe a really beautiful perfume, just rising up. It's an act so beautiful, so pleasing, that it's like a wonderful aroma to God.
Okay, so if we've got our new path, it's just as important to know which roads to avoid, right? To leave the old path behind for good. This next part of our journey is about spotting the counterfeits and making a clean break.
And this really lays it all out. It's a clear choice. On one side, you've got the path of real love, defined by imitating God, sacrifice, and thankfulness. And on the other, a bunch of dead ends. So let's use this as our map as we dive into the next few verses and see what to watch out for.
So check out verses 3 and 4. They list a bunch of stuff that just has no place on this new path. Things so out of sync it says they shouldn't even be named among you. Picture this. You've got this big pile of smelly garbage. You take it, shove it behind a heavy steel door, slam it shut, and throw the lock. And then you turn around into this bright, beautiful room with a feast on the table. You have to shut the door on one to enjoy the other. And then verse 5 hits us with something really powerful. It calls a covetous man an idolater. Whoa, this is way more than just wanting new things. It's worshiping things. It's like seeing someone on their knees, not before God, but before a giant statue made of gold coins and credit cards and all the latest gadgets. They're giving all their worship to stuff, with their back completely turned to the light.
Now, verse 6 is a huge warning sign. Let no one deceive you with empty words. These are the words that sound amazing but lead you right off a cliff. It's like you're driving down this perfectly paved, easy-looking highway, and then, out of nowhere, the asphalt just cracks and crumbles, revealing a sheer drop. That's what empty words do. And that's why verse 7 is so direct. Therefore, do not be partakers with them. It's a moment of decision. It's that classic moment, right? You're standing at a fork in the road. One path leads into this dark, stormy, tangled mess of a forest. The other opens up into a sunny, bright clearing. And you have to make a choice, a real, conscious choice, to walk towards the light.
And you know what? That choice, that decision, it leads to the biggest turning point in the whole chapter. This isn't just about switching paths anymore. This is about you, yourself, being completely transformed.
Okay, lean in for this part of verse 8 because the wording is everything. For you were once darkness. Notice that. It doesn't say you were just lost in the dark. It says you were the darkness. It was who you were, your whole identity.
But then comes that huge word, but. But now you are light in the Lord. Wow, talk about a total rewrite of your identity. Think of a person who's just a black, shadowy silhouette, and then, all of a sudden, a brilliant, warm light bursts out from inside them, completely filling them up. They go from being a shadow to being a source of light themselves. And so the instruction is simple. Walk as children of light. Just walk like the new person you are. So what does being light actually produce? Well, verse 9 tells us it grows fruit, goodness, righteousness, and truth. Just picture a strong, healthy tree out in a sunny field, but instead of apples, it's growing this amazing glowing fruit, and on each piece, you can read those exact words. And verses 10 and 11 say, don't just have this light, use it. Use it to figure out what's good and expose the unfruitful works of darkness. It's like you're exploring a pitch-black cave, but you've got this super powerful lantern. The beam doesn't just show you where to step safely, you can swing it into all the dark corners and reveal all the hidden dangers you would have stumbled into.
And verses 12 and 13 really hammer this point home. Some things are done in secret because they're shameful, but light has this cleansing power. Picture an old forgotten attic that's been sealed up for years. It's dark and dusty, and then someone throws open the shutters, and this brilliant shaft of sunlight floods in. What happens? You see every single particle of dust dancing in the air. The light doesn't create the dust, it just reveals what was already there, and that's the first step to cleaning it all up.
And that brings us to verse 14, which sounds like this incredible, powerful anthem. Awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. For this one, picture a scene that's totally black and white, totally lifeless. A person is lying on the ground, not moving. And then the sun starts to rise. And as that first ray of light touches them, they sit up, and color just explodes everywhere, flooding the whole world and flooding right into them, bringing them to life.
All right, so let's recap. You're on the path of love, you've left the darkness, you've become light. So, what now? Now it's time to learn how to walk on this new path, with skill, with wisdom. Verses 15 and 16 get super practical about how we're supposed to walk. First, walk circumspectly. That's a fancy word for carefully, with purpose. Think of a hiker on a super narrow mountain path with a steep drop on either side. You're not just strolling, every single step is careful and intentional. Second, we're told to be redeeming the time. That means grabbing every single opportunity that comes your way like they're golden coins raining down from the sky. You don't want to let a single one hit the ground. And it keeps going in verses 17 and 18, giving us these powerful contrasts. It's the difference between being aimless, just wandering around, and having a clear destination, which is understanding God's will. And then there's this one, don't be drunk with wine, which is just chaos, but be filled with the Spirit. Think of a car just spinning its wheels in the mud, going nowhere, versus a high-performance engine moving forward with power and control. So what does all this look like when we're together with other people? Well, verses 19 through 21 tell us it looks like joy, gratitude, and respect. Picture a group of friends, and imagine that coming from each person's heart is this gentle, beautiful fountain. But instead of water, it's flowing with music notes and glowing words of thanks. And all these fountains are mingling together, creating this incredible atmosphere of harmony.
And that brings us to the final section, and it's the biggest, most detailed picture in the whole chapter. It takes everything we've talked about, love, light, wisdom, and shows us what it looks like inside the closest human relationship there is, marriage. It's like a living, breathing metaphor for a much deeper reality.
Okay, so verses 22 to 25 lay out this foundational parallel. It talks about wives submitting and husbands being the head, but it immediately frames it as a reflection of Christ in the church. And for the husband, look at verse 25. The command is just breathtaking. Love your wives just as Christ gave himself for her. The mental image here is powerful. Picture a husband standing in the middle of a brutal storm, and he's using his own body as a shield to cover his wife, taking the full blast of the wind and rain so that she stays completely safe. That is a love defined by sacrifice. And what's the goal of that kind of love? Verses 26 and 27 say it's to help make her holy and glorious without spot or wrinkle. A husband's love is meant to protect and build his wife up. Think about a wedding. Picture the groom standing at the front, and he's just watching in total awe as his bride walks towards him, looking absolutely radiant and beautiful in a perfect white gown. That's the goal. And verse 28 says this love should feel totally natural as taking care of your own arm or leg because you've become one.
So verses 29 to 32 call all of this a great mystery. And you can see why. This whole relationship, the husband, the wife, becoming one, it's like a living, breathing play that's acting out a much bigger story. The story of Christ's incredible love for his people. It's a physical picture of a deep spiritual truth. And then, after all that deep, beautiful theology, verse 33 just brings it all down to a simple, powerful command for right now. For the husband, love. For the wife, respect. It's about creating this perfect, unbreakable circle where both people are honored and cared for.
And so we end this whole walkthrough right back where we started, with your next step. Because this chapter isn't just information, it's an invitation to a journey, a walk in love, a walk in light, a walk with wisdom. So the final question is for you.
Your walk continues right now. What's your very next step?